Right, I'm going to get right into this video, guys. Now, I just finished watching Star Trek Picard Season 3, the final episode, and in a few words, I'm glad it's over. But anyway, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and click that bell icon so you don't miss any more content. And yeah, I honestly enjoyed the last two episodes of this, but I mean, on the whole, it's not the best Star Trek. The last two episodes were more Trek than others, but I mean, a friend of mine even said that he was really disappointed. He said it's not sci-fi at this point; it's family drama. Well, I suppose there is a bit of family drama in there, but I mean, you can't say it's not sci-fi if, I mean, the Enterprise D flies into an ultra-large Borg cube, and you're going to tell me that it's not sci-fi anymore? Are you crazy? But anyway, yeah, like I say, I enjoyed the last two episodes, but the rest, I could have been perfectly happy with this being a two-part series. Perfectly happy with it being a movie, to be honest, because it makes more sense. And, you know, the introduction to Jack at the beginning of the series, yeah, fair enough. But then after that, it's like you're like 3-4 episodes of them just hiding in the nebula, and they didn't really do a lot. And it was just like, well, really boring. It's not Trek at all. Then they burst out, and there's all those little baby space aliens. It's, oh wow, nice, yeah, that's Trek. That is definitely Star Trek, yeah, because we've seen that sort of thing before. But you know, it's I don't know. It's just insane, the stuff that they come out with. For a start, there are a lot of scenes where they say fire, but they're only firing torpedoes. I think I've mentioned this in another video. They actually fire torpedoes when they should fire the phasers, and then they fire the phasers when they should fire the torpedoes. In my view, phasers would drain shields, right? That's the way I see it. You use the phasers to bring the shields down to a minimum percentage. Then you fire torpedoes to hit the hull and damage the ship. Because the phasers alone, well, they could damage a ship, but the torpedoes, they have a high yield. They're explosives. So that's how I would use them. But a lot of the time you see when they should be using phasers, they're using torpedoes. When they should be using torpedoes, they're using phasers. I mean, there's a bit of an issue there. I mean, that space station, Sol Station, it took a lot of punishment. There were a lot of phaser hits taking down that shield. And then, you know, they barely fired torpedoes, for crying out loud. Where were the quantum torpedoes? That's one of the things I want to know. Where were the quantum torpedoes? It doesn't make sense. I mean, quantum torpedoes in Nemesis were still new. This is post-Nemesis. This is years after Nemesis, and then still they prefer to use photon torpedoes over quantum torpedoes. Like I said in a previous video, would the quantum torpedoes not be the Federation's standard, you know, projectile weapon? Because that's what the torpedoes are. They are projectile weapons. They're not energy weapons. They're projectile weapons. Because they're like a missile or a torpedo. That's, you know, that's why they call them photon torpedoes. They're a projectile. Phasers are an energy weapon. I mean, phasers perfect for taking down shields. But torpedoes, you don't fire them to take down shields. I mean, seriously, you don't fire torpedoes until the shields are down. I can never understand that about a lot of the Star Trek, especially the new ones. It's like they did it in Discovery as well, I believe. In the final battle of Season 2, the Enterprise was hit. Even though the shields were still up, it was hit with a torpedo, and the torpedo embedded itself Well, why would they waste a torpedo? I mean, torpedoes are not light phasers. Energy can be regenerated. Torpedoes need to be rebuilt. Because as far as I know, in Star Trek, I think they made it a point that you cannot replicate torpedoes. I think they made that point. You cannot replicate torpedoes. So they have to be... You can replicate the parts, but you cannot replicate the entire torpedo in one piece. You have to take the parts and put them together. You have to build them. That was the point. But I just don't understand how they can make that mistake. I mean, we really need someone who knows Star Trek through and through to make a really good Star Trek show. But I mean, it's fine, we're getting 2 or 3 episodes of a season that are good Star Trek. But the way everything's going now, I don't understand it. So it's just, I don't know. There's so much they can do with Star Trek, and they're just failing all the time. It's crazy. Strange New Worlds, they're failing. Even though it's one of the best shows, yeah, it's one of the best of modern Trek, but it's not good Star Trek. It's what they want you to... It's what they think is good Star Trek. It's not what the fans of Star Trek know to be Star Trek, It's like, I've watched TOS, I've watched Next Generation, I've watched Deep Space Nine, even though it's not my favourite, and I've watched Voyager. I watched Discovery, I watched all of Discovery, and all I can think is, well, it's good generic sci-fi, but I don't see it as Star Trek. I see it as generic sci-fi. Same with Strange New Worlds, mostly generic, based on Star Trek. Unless they actually admit that it's a parallel universe or an alternate timeline, I'm not going to be happy with it. If they literally said, oh, Discovery and Strange New Worlds are set in an alternate timeline, then I'll be like, great, thanks a lot. That's exactly what I want to know. It's exactly what I want to hear. And why couldn't you tell us that from the bloody first day? I mean, seriously. Crazy. Now, I'm not praying. I don't pray. I'm not religious. Right, so... I mean, the Enterprise D flying into a Borg cube. I mean, seriously? Oh my god. That's insane. It's great visuals, don't get me wrong. It was great seeing. But, it's just... When the Enterprise comes over the top of them before beaming them up, and they're looking up, and it's like, it looks a bit small, unless they're like unless they're like miles up above them. I mean, they only look like they were a few hundred feet at most, and I thought to myself, there's a bit of a scaling issue there. I mean, the Enterprise isn't that small, is it? I mean, seriously, crazy. But I don't know. I mean. It's just the way things are. So, why don't you tell me what you guys think? What did you think of the finale of Picard? Because I don't think it was as good as it could have been. It could have been amazing. It could have been exceptional. But they failed. I mean, the best parts were the fan service parts, the Enterprise D, the museum ships. I mean, we had the NX-01 Enterprise refit. Seriously, nice looking ship. I wish we had got that, because I believe that was going to be in Enterprise Season 5. But they didn't make it. They just made the that last episode. But anyway, let me know what you think. I just think it was such a failure. I wish they would have basically just said, look, it's an alternate timeline. That would make sense. But with Picard, it's the prime timeline. You can tell it's the prime timeline because they got the ships as close to the originals as possible with the modern take on it, because they would have had to have modern take on it, because otherwise it would just... I think a modern take on what the TOS Enterprise would look like we had with that one. It was the New Jersey, I believe, in that Picard episode, and it was like, yeah, I have no problem with that. There are slight differences, but it's called modernization. It's modern visual of a classic design. It's like it's not retro or anything like that. It's a classic design that's been essentially modified for modern visual standards. I mean, it doesn't have to be 25% different. I mean, they could have made it exactly the same, but they didn't. And I don't have a problem with that. It's the same with the NX-01 refit, and that was a beautiful thing to see. I mean, we didn't get a decent shot of it. We didn't get a close-up shot, but it would have been nice. Then we got the Enterprise A, which is the third Constitution the third Phase 2. Is it Phase 2 or Phase 3 Constitution? Comment down below. Let me know. Is it the Phase 2 or the Phase 3 Constitution that the Enterprise A was? I believe it was the Phase 3, but it might not be. But I mean, I also think that there are like 3 Constitution Phase 3s that were the Enterprise. The Enterprise A, which was the direct, that was when they prefixed the NCC-1701 of the motion picture. They just put the A on. Couldn't understand why they put the A on, to be honest. I suppose it was just a bonus. I mean, it's only a refit of the original Connie. But is it possible that the A in A Wrath of Khan is actually the new built Constitution, or is it still the refitted Phase 1 Constitution? Let me know down below. Tell me if that's what you think, because that's what I think. I think that the A prefix was the fresh built Enterprise, and the TOS one that went up into the motion picture, that was just I'd say something. It was just a refit, like a test bed, a prototype refit, maybe. That's what I think. I think the motion picture one was a prototype refit to see if the technology would work, and then the Enterprise became let's just say that the Constitution in the Wrath of Khan is possibly the Constitution 2. Maybe. Or maybe it should have a different classification, but I reckon it being Constitution 2 would make sense class-wise. Because adding the A to an old ship that was only refitted, when we've already seen it as that refit without it, it doesn't make sense to me. But what does make sense is that the A is actually a new built ship, and when we see it in the Wrath of Khan, it's a few years old. Obviously in Wrath of Khan it gets damaged. They steal it in the Search for Spock. It gets destroyed in the Search for Spock. So that would be, in my view, that's 2 ships named the Enterprise. So you've got the original Enterprise that became the motion picture one, and then you've got the first A, which was the Wrath of Khan one. Now I think they were 2 different ships, like I said. Right, so it got destroyed in the Search for Spock, and in the Voyage Home there's a new one. Right, that's okay. I'd love to know if you guys know the name of the ship that was changed to the Enterprise A at the end of A Voyage Home. So where they change the name. They do that quite often in Star Trek, which they wouldn't do on in real life, because there's a bit of superstition amongst sailors, and if a ship has its name changed, it usually it's bad luck or something. But I'd love to know the name of the ship that became the Enterprise A at the end of A Voyage Home, the Voyage Home. And so that's basically that is 3 ships named the Enterprise that basically get destroyed. I mean, I think, well, the Enterprise A from the Undiscovered Country, that's probably that's probably the one that we see at that museum. So it is literally the third iteration of the Enterprise and the second iteration of the A. That's my opinion. So it is literally the third ship. It's called of Enterprise of the movie era. So tell me what you think. Hopefully you'll agree with me, because I mean that makes sense to me, because it did get destroyed, and it would also make sense with the original one being refitted as a test bed for the new technology for the refit for the new ship. Right, what else? The Titan being changed to the Enterprise G, that really belittles the Titan, doesn't it? I mean, the Titan had the A prefix because it was a famous ship. Riker made it a famous ship. So I don't understand that, why they would do that, because I mean, for a start, they say it's the Titan refit, so it's a refit. So somehow that ship that was the Titan A, somehow they refit that from the Lunar class, which looked more advanced and slick. So how does the Lunar class become the Titan A? It doesn't. I don't see it. There's no design similarities there at all. You know, this doesn't make sense. Well, anyway, I'm going on and on about just random Star Trek stuff here. Right. Okay, so we get that end scene with. I can't believe they did it. I mean, I'm sure that was supposed to be a opening sequence, a hint towards the Legacy series, this Star Trek Legacy, which was an idea to carry on after Picard, because everyone was saying that there were a few people saying that the Titan A will be the ship for the Legacy series, but I mean, now they've changed the name to the Enterprise G, and I don't get it. It's how can they justify changing a name from the Titan A to the Enterprise G? I still don't understand it. I think I've spoken about this earlier on in this video, but it doesn't make any sense to what they were thinking. What were they thinking? I mean, I'm pretty sure that Starfleet would have been building a new ship to replace the F, so there should have been a G in the pipeline anyway. Technically, so there should have been a G already designed, already being built to replace the F. If the F was being retired, then there should have been another ship to bear the Enterprise name afterwards. So they completely blew that up, didn't they? I mean, the Enterprise F looked like it was the most advanced ship in that fleet above Earth, and then all of a sudden the Titan A becomes its next iteration. Guys, you've messed up there. You've screwed up royally, changing the Titan to the Enterprise. It just seriously, no. I had a feeling that they would do something along those lines, because I thought that they might have had the Enterprise G launch in the last part of Picard season 3. Because I had the idea, I had that thought, because when they said that the Titan A was actually the Neo Constitution, I thought to myself, there's going to be an Enterprise that one of that class of ship is going to become an Enterprise. But I didn't think it was going to be the Titan. Seriously, if I was Riker, I'd be really pissed off. Seriously, that was my ship. That was my command. That's the Titan. Now you're going to change it to the Enterprise? My God. My God. Absolutely insane what they did. I can't understand it. Right, I'm going to leave it there. I'll carry this on in a later video. But please give us that thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, click that bell icon, and don't miss any content I make. I enjoy making these. I hope you enjoy watching them. Thanks a lot. Take it easy. I'll catch you on the other side.